I found out I was blocked by accident. It was a regular Thursday afternoon. I had just come back from the florist after prepaying for another part of the wedding arrangements when I realized I hadn't received any updates from Rachel's bridal group chat in days. I opened my phone, tapped the icon like I always did, and the message was gone. Not archived. Gone. I tried to search Rachel's name. Nothing. I tried to check her Facebook. Blank. Then I opened Instagram and got the message. User not found. Hold. On a moment before we move forward, let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. That's when I understood. My daughter-in-law had blocked me from every single social media account she had. I stood there in the kitchen, phone still in my hand, blinking at the screen like it might change. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she was hacked. Maybe she deleted her accounts. But I checked from my iPad using a different account I had for church activities. She was still there, posting stories, sharing photos, laughing at her bridal shower from last week, the one I wasn't invited to. That's when the tightness in my chest started. It wasn't a dramatic kind of pain. Just a slow, heavy squeeze like someone was pressing both hands against my ribs. I didn't call her. Instead, I called my son. Brian answered after a few rings. His voice was normal, not excited, not nervous, just Brian. "Hey, Mom. Everything okay?" "I think you should tell me," I replied. "Why did Rachel block me?" He went quiet. I could hear background noise like he was outside. "I'm not sure," he finally said. "She's been overwhelmed with the wedding planning." I wasn't aware being overwhelmed meant pretending your future husband's mother doesn't exist. "Mom, don't take it personally." "She blocked me, Brian. That's personal." He exhaled. "Can we not do this right now? There's just been a lot of tension and she needs space." I sat down at the kitchen table. "I'm paying for this wedding, Brian." "Did she forget that?" "I didn't forget," he said quickly. "We're both grateful. You know that. But Rachel, she's just feeling like there's too many opinions flying around and I haven't given a single opinion." I cut in. "Not one. I've been quiet. I've kept my distance. I've written checks. And she blocks me?" I heard him shift. The phone. He was uncomfortable. "I'll talk to her, okay?" "No," I said. "Don't bother. I get the message." We ended the call after that. He didn't say, "I love you." I didn't say it either. I sat at that kitchen table for a long time. I had spent the last 6 months making sure this wedding would be perfect. I paid for the venue. I covered the down payment on the caterer. I even helped with the deposit on Rachel's dress. When they couldn't agree on floral arrangements, I stepped in and quietly paid extra so Rachel could have her way without Brian knowing. I thought I was helping. I thought I was building something. Instead, they were building a wedding that didn't include me. That night, I opened my email and went through every receipt, every invoice, every deposit. I organized them all into a single folder on my desktop. I wasn't sure what I was planning yet. But something inside me had changed. Rachel didn't just block me online, she erased me, and Brian stood by and let it happen. 3 days passed. No apology, no explanation, no message. I waited because I thought maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe Brian would come by. Maybe Rachel would call. But nothing. Then, on Sunday, I went to church and saw one of the florist's assistants at the entrance. She waved at me and said, "See you next weekend at the wedding." My heart dropped. Wasn't invited. That night, I searched the wedding website they had set up. I still had the link. It wasn't password protected. And there it was, the guest list, sorted by table. I wasn't on it. I scrolled again, just to be sure. There were tables for Rachel's cousins, her coworkers, even her old college roommates, parents. But not me. My name was nowhere. I went to bed but didn't sleep. I laid there in the dark, staring at the ceiling fan, the hum of it buzzing in my ears. I wasn't angry yet. I was hurt. deeply, quietly. The kind of hurt that makes your hands shake while folding laundry, the kind that stays in your throat like a dry pill. The next morning, I didn't make coffee. I didn't go for my usual walk. I opened my laptop and pulled up the vendor contracts. I had paid for everything. Everything. The photographer? Booked. Under my name. The food truck for the after party? On my credit card. The DJ? Paid in installments through my account. Even the chair rentals and linens. All under me. And that's when something in me shifted. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. Started making phone calls. Polite ones? Professional ones. I wasn't canceling anything. Not yet. I was just checking contract details, confirming names, verifying refund policies. Every vendor was pleasant, cooperative, responsive, because I was the client. Not Rachel. Not Brian. Me. And none of them had heard a word about me not attending the wedding. The woman paying for the entire event wasn't invited. 2 more days passed. Then I got a call from the bakery. "Hi, Mrs. Green," the woman said sweetly. "Just a quick check. Are we still set for delivery to the venue at noon on the 14th? "Yes," I said calmly. "Please hold on a final confirmation. I may need to make a slight change." She paused. "Of course. Just let us know." I ended the call and opened a new document on my computer. Titled it, "Changes Pending." I was done waiting for an apology. Now I was waiting for the right moment, because if they wanted a wedding without me, they were going to get exactly that, but not the way they imagined. The next morning, I started my day the same way I had for years. I made toast, poured a cup of black coffee, and sat at the kitchen table with the wedding folder open in front of me. This time, I didn't feel excited or proud of how much work I had put in. I felt used. I stared at the invoice from the venue. It was one of the first things I had paid, non-refundable, but with guest adjustments allowed up to 72 hours before the event. The original count was 120. The final list didn't include me. My own son didn't think I deserved a... Here I took a pen and underlined that sentence on the invoice. Final head count due by Monday, 9 a.m. That was in 2 days. At 9:12 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Brian. Brian. "Morning, Mom. Just wanted to say thank you again for everything. Hope you're doing okay. We've had some stress here, but we're excited. Big week coming." I read it twice. No mention of the blocking. No mention of the guest list. No invitation. Just a vague pat on the head like I was some background sponsor quietly watching from the sidelines. I didn't reply. Instead, I called the event coordinator from the venue. Her name was Mallory. Young, cheerful, always chipper. "Hi, Mallory. This is Jean Green. I'm calling about the Lawrence Wilson wedding this Saturday." "Oh, Mrs. Green. Yes, of course. We have you as the main contact on file." "Right. I just wanted to confirm that all communication has still been coming to me, not the bride or groom." "Yes. Everything's still under your name. We've been working directly from your timeline and layout plan. Is there anything you want to update?" "No, not yet. But there might be. Could you please send me the latest version of the seating chart?" "Of course. Give me 20 minutes. I'll email it right over." I thanked her, hung up, and went straight to my email. 19 minutes later, the file came in. The layout was exactly what I feared. Front and center, the bride's family. A long table with her parents, her aunts and uncles, and 3 of her friends. Brian's family, which included me, was split into 2 small round tables near the back exit. And my name wasn't even listed. They had placed my sister and my niece there, but not me. They hadn't even bothered to invent an excuse for my absence. They just deleted me like I didn't exist. I stared at that chart for a long time. The shape of it, the symbolism. I had paid for this venue. I had selected the floor plan, and now I wasn't welcome on it. Later that afternoon, I drove to the rental company's warehouse, the one that was supplying the tables, linens, flatware, the white folding chairs, and the decorative arch for the ceremony. I had set up the Account in person weeks ago, and they remembered me when I walked in. Mrs. Green, said the young man behind the counter. You're early. Pickup is scheduled for Friday. I know. I'm not here to cancel. I'm just here to review the inventory and the billing. He pulled up the account on his screen. Everything's still good. You're paid in full. What would you like to change? I want to add a clause, I said. No items are to be released without my direct approval on pickup. No one else is authorized to receive them. Sure, I can put that in right now. Also, I continued, I want the table count reduced by 3. I'll send the updated list by tomorrow. Morning. He typed it all in. Got it. I walked out of there calm, clear, and focused. They wanted me invisible. They would get invisible, but they wouldn't get my generosity. That evening, I made a list, line by line. Photographer, contact and confirm delivery conditions, catering, double-check delivery name, bakery, hold final confirmation, florals, update count, DJ, payment still pending final week, withhold. I was no longer just a mother. I was a project manager with receipts. And I still hadn't heard a word from Rachel. Not even a fake apology. The next morning, I got up early and went to the bakery in person. I knew they weren't expecting me. When I walked in, the woman behind the counter smiled right away. Mrs. Green, we're just finishing the custom topper. It looks beautiful. I believe you, I said, but I'm not here to approve it. I'm here to put the order on hold. Her smile faded a little. Oh? Is there a problem with the schedule? No, the problem isn't with the cake. The problem is with who gets to serve it. She hesitated. Would you like us to delay? Production? Yes. I'll call by Wednesday at noon with a final confirmation. Until then, do not finalize anything. She nodded, confused, but professional. Understood. By the time I got back home, my phone had lit up with a message. Rachel. Hi, Jean. I heard from the bakery that there was a delay. Is everything okay? I stared at her message. So now she remembered how to contact me. I didn't respond. She sent a second message. Rachel. Also, we noticed the table arrangements are being updated. I thought those were final. Still, I didn't reply. That night, my sister called me. She had heard from someone on Rachel's side that I wasn't coming to the wedding. Is that true? She asked. Because they're saying you're sick or out of town. I laughed. Not a real laugh. The dry kind, like when something's too absurd to believe. No, I said. I'm perfectly fine. They just don't want me there. But you paid for everything. I know. My sister was quiet for a moment. Then she said, So what are you going to do? I took a breath. I'm going to give them what they asked for. A wedding without me. I didn't say what else I was going to do, because it wasn't time yet. I needed to wait just a little longer. The next morning started like the others. I woke up at 6, showered, made my coffee, and sat back down at the kitchen table with the folder of wedding receipts. It had become a routine. Every vendor, every payment, every communication, organized, dated, tracked. But this morning, I opened a different file. A spreadsheet I had created titled, Withdrawal Timetable. I wasn't going to cancel everything all at once. That would cause chaos. No, I wanted them to feel the consequences one layer at a time. Not because I wanted revenge, but because they had crossed a line. They erased me, lied about me, used me, and expected me to keep smiling. At 8:17 a.m., I sent a message to the florist, John Green. Please reduce the centerpiece count by 5 and cancel the aisle arrangements. Keep only the bridal bouquet and boutonnieres. Final payment on hold pending confirmation. I got a response within 10 minutes. Florist. Understood. Inventory will be adjusted. Let us know by Friday for any final changes. That was one of the easier ones. The florist had always been polite and efficient. I didn't need to explain myself. Next, I called the DJ. His name was Troy. Young guy, always trying to upsell packages. He answered on the third ring. Hey, Mrs. Green, how's it going? We're set for Saturday. Weather's looking good. We'll bring the tent speakers just in case. I need to hold the booking, I said. Do not process the remaining payment. He hesitated. Everything okay? I'll let you know. By Thursday, I said. But for now, put the event on pending status. That's non-negotiable. He didn't argue. I had paid half up front, and he wasn't going to fight the hand that funded most of his paycheck. After that, I took a break. I cleaned the kitchen, washed a few dishes, took out the trash. I wasn't doing it to stay busy. I was doing it to stay calm. I didn't want my anger to get sloppy. I wanted every step to be controlled. By noon, I checked my email again. There were 2 new messages from Rachel. The first one was short. Rachel. Hi again. Just wanted to confirm that the bakery said they haven't received the final green light from you. We need to confirm the delivery time. The second message was more direct. Rachel. Also, I noticed that the florist updated the invoice. Did you request changes? I'm confused. Please let me know. Still no apology, no ownership, no explanation for the blocking, the missing invitation, the rearranged seating plan. Just confusion, because now things were starting to fall apart. Didn't respond. Let her wait. Let them both wait. Later that afternoon, my niece stopped by. Emily. She was 24 and had been helping me track wedding packages for weeks. She had also been uninvited without warning. Rachel had decided she wasn't close enough to the bride's side. Emily sat down at the table, took one look at my face, and said, "It's happening, isn't it?" "Yes," I said. She leaned forward. "Are you really going to let the whole wedding go to hell?" "No," I said. "I'm not letting anything happen. I'm just stepping back, like they wanted." She nodded, slowly. "And if they call, I'm not answering." I had given them every chance. I waited for Brian to do the right thing. I waited for Rachel to realize what she was doing. But instead of taking responsibility, they chose to keep pretending I didn't matter. Until now. Around 4 p.m., my phone rang again. Brian. I stared at the screen for a moment before picking up. "Hi," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Mom?" He said quickly, "What's going on? Rachel said the florist order changed and the DJ hasn't confirmed anything." "Because I told them not to," I replied. There was silence on the other end. "Why?" he finally asked. "What's happening?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I just said the truth. "You blocked me out of the wedding, Brian. You let Rachel treat me like I don't exist. You removed my name from the seating chart. You told people I'm sick or unavailable. And I paid for everything. Every flower, every plate, every chair, and you thought I'd still keep paying while being erased? I didn't know about the seating chart," he said quickly. "But you knew I wasn't invited." He didn't answer. "You let her block me," I continued. "You let her tell everyone I wasn't coming. And now that things aren't going according to plan, suddenly you remember who paid for all of it?" He tried to say something, but I kept going. "I'm not canceling the wedding, Brian. But I'm not financing it anymore either. If you want the flowers, the music, the cake, you two can cover it." "Mom, we can't afford that," he said, voice low. "That's not my problem anymore. Can we just talk about this in person?" he asked. "No," I said. "This conversation is finished." And I hung up. I turned off my phone and set it face down on the table. 5 minutes later, the house phone rang. I didn't answer. That night, I called the caterer and left a voicemail. "Hi, this is Jean Green. Please hold all services scheduled for Saturday's event. No delivery unless personally authorized by me. I'll confirm or cancel by Wednesday afternoon." I knew they'd call back in the morning, and I would be ready. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to show up and make a scene. I was going to do exactly what they did to me, quietly disappear. The next day was Wednesday. I knew this would be the turning point. At exactly 9:02 a.m., the caterer called me back. I let it ring once, then answered. "Mrs. Green, this is Lisa from Silver Plate Catering. We got your message about the Lawrence Wilson wedding this Saturday. Are you confirming or canceling the delivery?" I took a breath and answered calmly. "I'm confirming a hold. No delivery unless I personally authorize it by Thursday morning. The payment status remains pending." Lisa hesitated. "Understood. If we don't receive confirmation by tomorrow, we won't proceed." "Correct." She thanked me, and we ended the call. I wrote it down in my notebook. Catering paused. Confirmation deadline set. The next call came at 9:46 a.m. The bakery. The woman I had spoken with earlier sounded nervous. "Mrs. Green, just checking again. We're approaching the final window for the cake. We need to finish the internal supports today if it's going to be transported by Saturday." "Hold production," I said. "Do not assemble the cake." "Yes, ma'am, but," the bride's mother called. She seemed confused. "She's not the client," I replied. "I am." "Understood." After that, the messages began piling up. First, it was Rachel. "Rachel, I need to understand what's happening. Why are the vendors saying they can't proceed without your approval?" "Rachel, we're 2 days out, Jean. This is not the time for games." Then Brian, "You've made your point. Can we talk?" I didn't answer either of them. Instead, I went to the rental company to finalize the seating reductions. I requested 5 fewer tables, returned 12 chairs, and adjusted the linens count. All within policy, all still under my name. I asked for a copy of the revised invoice. They handed me a printed copy on the spot. I folded it and placed it in my folder. On the way home, I stopped by the church where the ceremony was scheduled. I walked in through the side door and waited for the coordinator to become available. The man, Jeff, greeted me with a confused smile. "Mrs. Green, everything okay?" "Yes," I said. "I just want to verify that nothing has changed regarding access." He frowned. "We received a request from Rachel's mother yesterday. She asked us to reroute all coordination through her." "She's not on the contract," I said. "Is that correct?" He nodded. "No, she's not. You are." "Then, I'd like you to note in your records that any changes must go through me or be ignored. Is that clear?" "Very." I thanked him and left. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to explain. By the time I got home, it was nearly 2 p.m. My cell phone had 14 missed messages and 8 texts. One from Rachel stood out. "Rachel, we just heard from the caterer, the florist, and the DJ. Jean, you are sabotaging your own son's wedding. I don't know what you're trying to prove, but this is cruel." I read it, then deleted it. At 4:45 p.m., the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. It was Brian. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. "Mom," he said, looking exhausted. "Can we please talk?" I stepped aside just enough for him to walk into the living room. He sat down on the edge of the couch. I remained standing. He rubbed his hands together, looked at the floor, then said, "Why are you doing this?" I crossed my arms. "Why am I doing what, Brian? Following through on what you two wanted? That's not what we wanted. You blocked me. She blocked me. You let her tell people I wasn't attending. You let her reassign my seat. You erased me from the event I funded. That's what you wanted, right? A wedding without me?" He stayed quiet. "I'm not canceling the wedding," I said. "But I'm not paying for people to pretend I don't exist." His voice rose. "Rachel is freaking out. Everything is falling apart." "I know." He stood up, frustrated. "You're punishing both of us." "No, Brian," I said. "I'm just removing myself, like you both already did." His jaw tightened. "What do you want me to say?" "I wanted you to stand up for me," I said. "And it's too late for that now." He looked down, shaking his head. "So what now?" "You want the wedding?" I said. "You fund the rest. That includes cake, catering, music, and final venue adjustments. We can't afford that. That's not my problem anymore." He stared at me for a long time, then walked out the front door without another word. That night, I received an email from the photographer. "Hi, Mrs. Green. We're preparing our weekend schedule. Please confirm that you are still the primary contact, and if coverage is still expected." I replied, "Jean Green. Please do not proceed until I confirm by Friday. I am still the primary contact." Clicking send felt final. Thursday morning came. Made coffee and waited for the phone to ring. It didn't take long. At 9:17 a.m., Rachel's number appeared. I didn't answer. Then her mother called, then Brian again. I let them all go to voicemail. At noon, I called the bakery. "This is Jean Green," I said. "Please cancel the order. Do not assemble or deliver the cake. No further charges are authorized." The woman on the other end was quiet. Understood. I made one final call to the DJ. "This is Jean Green. Cancel the booking. Do not deliver equipment to the venue." He confirmed, and we ended the call. That night, I placed all the updated paperwork back in my folder, the folder that was once filled with joy and plans. Now it held silence, receipts, and confirmation numbers. I wasn't going to show up at the wedding, but I had made sure they would remember who made it possible and who chose to disappear. Friday morning started like every other day that week. I got up, dressed, made coffee, and sat at the table. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel angry. I felt calm, prepared. By then, every vendor had been notified. Everything still under my name had either been put on hold or canceled entirely. The parts I had already paid for, the venue, the table rentals, the chair setup, those would stay. I wasn't sabotaging the event. I was simply removing the parts they never appreciated. At 10:03 a.m., my doorbell rang. It was Emily again, holding 2 grocery bags. "I brought snacks," she said. "I figured we'd be glued to the group chats all day." I let her in. We sat in the living room, her with her phone out, me with my notebook. I didn't say much at first. I just kept my eyes on the screen, waiting for the first sign that things were starting to unravel. At 11:12 a.m., the first message came through. Emily looked up from her phone. "You're gonna want to see this." She turned her screen toward me. One of Rachel's bridesmaids had posted an Instagram story. Just a short clip with the caption, "Florist didn't show? What's going on?" I nodded. That's one. 5 minutes later, another post popped up. This time it was from someone else at the rehearsal dinner. A video of Rachel pacing back and forth outside the venue, phone pressed to her ear. No sound, but her body language was frantic. The caption, "Bride meltdown before the big day." Yikes. Emily tilted her head. "You think Brian told her yet?" "He doesn't need to," I said. "She's figuring it out." At noon, I checked my own phone. 3 missed calls from Brian, 2 from Rachel, 1 from an unknown number. I assumed it was her mother. I didn't return any of them. Instead, I sent one last confirmation email to the venue coordinator, Jean Green. "Please proceed as scheduled with only the venue setup and chair layout. All external services not confirmed have been canceled by me." The reply came 10 minutes later. "Mallory. Understood. We'll prepare the space as discussed. Thank you." By 2 p.m., Emily and I had settled into the couch, both watching social. Media unfold in real time. We weren't laughing. This wasn't entertainment. It was documentation. The wedding was scheduled for Saturday at 4 p.m. The rehearsal dinner was happening now, except there was no music, no flowers, no organized catering. Just finger foods brought by family and a lot of whispered complaints. Around 3:15 p.m., Emily sat up straight. Brian just posted. I took her phone and looked, a plain, desperate message. "Brian, if anyone knows a DJ available for tomorrow afternoon, please message me ASAP, urgent." I handed the phone back. No music. At 3:40 p.m., another message, Rachel's cousin. "Need wedding cake decorator in Cincinnati available tomorrow morning. Emergency. Please help." Emily raised an eyebrow. "They're trying to rebuild a wedding. In 24 hours? They can try." At 5:12 p.m., I got a text. "Brian, you made your point. Everything is falling apart. Are you proud of yourself?" I didn't reply. He called. I let it ring. Then he left a voicemail. I played it aloud for Emily to hear. "Brian, voicemail. Mom, you're humiliating us. People are starting to ask questions. Rachel's parents are furious. This was supposed to be the best day of our lives and you're treating it like a game. I know you're angry. But this is going too far. I deleted the message without comment. At 6:47 p.m., Emily's phone buzzed again. Her maid of honor just posted a selfie, she said. It says, "Tomorrow's gonna be interesting." The picture showed Rachel in the background. She was sitting on a folding chair in her rehearsal dress, arms crossed, red-faced, phone on her lap, untouched. That night, I went to bed early. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt settled. I wasn't celebrating their mess. I was reclaiming my space in it. Saturday, the wedding day, I woke up at 8 a.m. and stayed in my robe for most of the morning. By then, the calls had stopped. So had the texts. Silence had taken over. I assumed they were scrambling, looking for last-minute rentals, rushing to assemble floral arrangements from grocery stores, maybe even asking friends to DJ with a phone and speaker. Around 10:30 a.m., Emily arrived again, this time with 2 coffees. Thought we might need this. I took mine and nodded. The wedding was set for 4 p.m. We still had time. At noon, someone finally posted again. A short clip from the venue entrance. Tables were set. Chairs were arranged. But there were no tablecloths. No centerpieces. No music. Just the sound of people chatting awkwardly, like they were at a school fundraiser instead of a wedding. By 1:45 p.m., more pictures came in. Paper napkins. Disposable utensils. A banner taped to the wall that read, "Just married" in mismatched letters. Then Rachel's aunt posted a photo of the cake table. It was empty. Caption: "Still waiting on dessert." I looked at Emily. She wanted me invisible. That's what this is. At 3:22 p.m., Brian texted me again. "Brian, you win. I hope you're satisfied." I didn't reply. At 4 p.m., someone finally uploaded a video of the ceremony starting. The pastor speaking into a cheap microphone. Rachel walking down the aisle holding a bouquet of silk flowers. Brian standing in front of her, looking worn. Out, no music, no decor, just silence. Emily turned off her phone. I guess that's it. I nodded and went to the kitchen, opened a bottle of wine and poured 2 glasses. I didn't toast. I didn't say anything dramatic. I sat down, took a sip, and finally allowed myself to breathe. They had their wedding, but it wasn't the one I paid for, and it wasn't the one they erased me from. It was the one they earned. The day after the Iadi wedding, I didn't expect anyone to call, and I was right. My phone stayed silent. I kept the TV off. I didn't check social media. I knew people were talking. Maybe not to me, but definitely about me. That part didn't bother me anymore. The truth had already shown itself. By early afternoon, I went outside to water the plants. The sun was out. The air was still. Peaceful. I moved slowly, taking my time, trying not to think too much about what came next. At around 3:30 p.m., I heard a car pull up. I turned and saw Brian's car parked halfway into the driveway. He got out, alone. His jacket was off, shirt wrinkled, hair still styled from the night before, like he hadn't slept. I dried my hands and waited at the top of the steps. He walked up quietly, stopping 2 feet in front of me. We didn't say anything at first. Then he spoke. It was a disaster. I didn't move. I didn't ask questions. I let him talk. The food never came. People left before the reception even started. We tried to play music off someone's phone, but the speaker died. Rachel was furious. Her mother blamed me. My groomsmen started drinking early and made everything worse. He paused. I know you warned me. I know you tried to be involved. I let her push you out. Still, I didn't say anything. He looked down at his feet. We couldn't fix it. There wasn't enough time. Everyone knew something was wrong. They were asking why the mother of the groom wasn't there. That made me raise my eyes. And what did you say? I didn't answer. He sat down on the porch step, head in his hands. We spent 6 months planning that wedding, and the only thing that actually worked was the venue and the chairs. That's because those were the only things I left in place. He nodded slowly. I know what we did was wrong, he said. I just kept thinking, If I kept the peace with her, things would settle. But they didn't. And I hurt you in the process. You didn't just hurt me, I said. You made a decision, and you stood by it until it backfired. He looked up. Are we done? I thought about that for a moment. No, I said. We're not done, but things won't go back to how they were. He exhaled. I understand. We sat in silence for a minute. The breeze picked up. A neighbor's dog barked faintly in the distance. Rachel hasn't spoken to me since last night, he added. She said I should have handled you better. I didn't comment. She wanted an apology from you, he said, then gave a dry laugh. She still thinks this was your fault. That tells me everything I need to know, I replied. He nodded again. Then he stood up. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just wanted to face you. I owed you that. I didn't stop him as he walked back to his car. I also didn't say goodbye. I went inside, poured myself a glass of water, and sat in the quiet of my kitchen. That evening, Emily came over again. She brought takeout. We sat on the couch and watched a movie. Nothing dramatic, nothing emotional, just something to fill the space. She didn't bring up the wedding. She didn't need to. The next morning, I started packing a small bag. I had made a reservation at a cabin 2 hours away. I hadn't told anyone. I needed 3 days away from everything. Phones, people, reminders. I left the house at 10 a.m., sharp, took the long route through the back roads, and checked in. By noon, the woman at the front desk handed me the keys. Hope you enjoy your stay, Ms. Green. You're our only guest this week. Perfect. For 3 days, I read books, cooked small meals, and took walks near the lake. I slept better than I had in weeks. No alarms, no notifications, no updates. On the last night, I sat outside on the porch swing with a cup of tea and thought about what had happened. I hadn't screamed. I hadn't begged. I hadn't fought. And yet, they all knew exactly what I felt. That was enough. When I got home, my mailbox was full. Bills, flyers, a card. I opened it carefully. Inside was a note. Jean, I'm sorry. I hope one day we can talk again. Brian. There was no return address, no phone number. Just the handwriting I had recognized since he was a teenager. I didn't cry. I placed the card on the table and walked into the kitchen to start lunch. Later, that week I visited the florist, not for wedding business, just to order a small arrangement for myself. The same woman from before greeted me. You're back, she said. I'm not planning anything, I replied. Just wanted something nice for the living room. She smiled and nodded. We all heard how things went. I'm not surprised. Well, she said, handing me the bouquet. Good for you. I left with fresh flowers and a sense of closure. I had done what most wouldn't dare to do. I removed myself from the table, from the room, from the fantasy they built without me. But I didn't lose anything. They did, and I was done explaining that to anyone.